Since starting in the staff role, have you received clear guidance and support from the director you report to ensure you are confident that you are focusing your efforts on the areas of most value to the team, or are you largely left to self-manage? And can you describe how the oversight/mentorship process works in practice?
Thanks, Justin. So, since starting the staff role, have I received clear guidance and support from the director I report to? So, I've had the pleasure of reporting to two different directors in my time as staff. So, that was both Val and Sean. And I think for me, both directors have been very hands off and expect me to self manage my time. And I am expected to tell them what the needs of the team are based on my interactions. So if I'm being completely honest, I think finding that rhythm and ensuring that my time was delegated and spent well was very difficult when I was first promoted. But I definitely feel like I have a clear focus now on where my time is spent and how I should spend it. And from time to time, the director will ask me to stop what I'm doing with very little notice and then say, focus on these time critical items. So that could be anything from working on slides or working on a custom escalation, things like that. And we still have the regular one-on-ones every week, just like you would with a manager. And when we're going through the agenda items, they'll take opportunities to coach me on my approach to specific things, and whether there's a better way of doing things. And I've definitely learned to really trust and value the director's insights there. And I think just like with any manager that you report to, they'll listen to you moan about things that are going on. They'll listen to things that are going great, and they will celebrate your successes with you, which is really cool. And overall, their priority is to unblock. So, if I'm stuck on anything, they're going to wave that director hammer across the lands, and things will get done. So, yeah. And of course, directors aren't shy. They will tell you if they believe your time is best spent elsewhere as well. But then, they're equally quite encouraging about, some of the initiatives that you're working on, and very excited. So I think for me, AI is definitely the big one. And anytime I use the AI word, I mean, that gets directors excited. So yeah.
So all the staff support engineers in the team will probably have different answers to this question, Justin, even those working for the same manager. Working life as staff becomes less clear, more fuzzy, less well defined. That's the guidance I've had from my manager, and it's the case in general for more senior roles and for management roles. Staff support engineers are absolutely left to self-manage. It's already the case for senior for sure, and intermediate to some extent at GitLab anyway. You can expect more freedom and more responsibility as staff. The transition from intermediate to senior, I think, is fairly linear. There's lots of overlap and commonality. Folks promoted to senior, they're doing stuff in addition to the baseline role. The baseline role is well defined and easy to measure. It's volumes of tickets, it's tickets closed, it's updates to tickets, it's other contributions like documentation updates and automation and so on. I think getting promoted to senior, to staff, sorry, it isn't really linear at all. All the really well-defined work stops, and it's replaced by kind of much less well-defined work. That's harder to measure. And there's more to prioritize because there's far too much to actually get completed. I'm confident that I'm working on what the team needs me to work on. I'm getting that feedback, though it doesn't feel like the work leveling up the team that maybe you might expect a staff engineer to be doing. That said, I've had some OKRs at various points while I've been in the role. I had one around Get training and EMEA, to get more people doing that, if you'll excuse the pun, get more people up to speed. Also to produce some Patroni training, which I started but I haven't finished. One key piece of feedback from Val has been that the four of us are different, and indeed we're almost certainly different from the previous staff support engineers as well. I was, getting pretty intense imposter syndrome from seeing all the great stuff that the other staff engineers were doing, and I was reminded that we're all different, and all levels in the team really, we can't know everything, and we can't all do everything. So on the face of it, we're solving tickets for a living and helping customers, but that's pretty much as far as it's possible to generalize.
Can I describe how the oversight mentorship process works in practice? I want to say no, and because there really isn't, at least I wouldn't use the word oversight or mentorship process. We do have a weekly one-on-one where I guess oversight happens. That's not what it feels like. But for the larger question, like, is it more self-manage what you're doing, or do you get very clear guidance? It's very, very much self-managing and finding the things that you work on. And that's don't get me wrong, that's not a complaint or anything. I don't feel like I'm lacking in guidance and support necessarily. That is kind of what we agreed on in our first one-on-one. And there is, of course, the opportunity for course correction, right? In that one-on-one, I will speak about what I'm working on, what I plan on working on. And, well, that's the opportunity for my director, for Val, to say, oh, nope, don't focus on that, right? And that rarely happens. And I think that makes sense, because that's also kind of why you become staff, is you have a very good understanding of what you should work on and where you can add value, I guess. It occasionally happens like that I wanted to do a double check. One example that comes to mind is shortly after my promotion, there was like a bit of a need for more people looking into dedicated stuff. And I was asked if I was interested in that, which obviously I am, because I'm interested in pretty much everything. But I felt at the time I should not focus on that. Because I'm very deep in all the CI/CD stuff. That was shortly before I brought in more people as counterparts to my existing product groups. And so I just felt I should keep focusing and doubling down on the CI stuff and not split my attention, so to speak. And so I brought that up in the one-on-one, for example, and said, hey, here's this thing. Just want to make sure that we're aligned. And yes, Val agreed. But that is one of the opportunities, I think, where it's possible that Val says, no, dedicated is so important, and there really is nobody else that we think can add that value. Maybe slow down on the CI stuff for a bit and work on dedicated. So it happens, but it's, yeah, as I said, calling it an oversight or mentorship process sounds way too much for these occasional double checks. Yeah.